Hello everybody, welcome to What Culture. I'm Scott, and as you've probably gathered, I'm joined by every single thing relating to Labo other than the robot kit, because the only one that I got was the variety kit. Now, it's worth breaking down the sort of general conversation on, is this just a load of cardboard? Is it a bit of a gimmick? Or is there something more to it? And is it just for kids? Can people who are grown-ups have a bit of fun with it? Has it got that dual appeal like something like Lego? And if you've already gone, well, I don't even build Lego, that's totally fine. You know, I do, but that's something that I'm into. Either way, I'm going to break down each one of these things and the amount of fun that I've had with it. I don't have everything with me because they're huge. As you can see, this thing is big, and this thing too. There's also a motorbike and a house, and trying to put them all in one bag and just, you know, take the train through a public place it's not a good look. As much as I'm proud of these things, it's not what you want. Nintendo Labo is the latest insanely Nintendo thing the company have put out since including a carry handle on the GameCube. Coming in 2 packs, the variety pack includes 2 RC bugs, a fishing rod, a physics manipulating house with a small creature inside, a motorbike with 2 courses, a piano and recording suite, a miniature if X then Y coding suite where you can remap any sensor and button to create your own games, and a discovery mode where you can watch in real time how all the various creations actually work. It's insane. Like, you think that it's just going to be this thing where you're crafting stuff and then playing with it later, but they have this whole discovery mode as part of the software. So if at any time you want to delve into just what is the sensor seeing, how is it actually doing this stuff, one, they walk you through it as you're putting it together, but you can also go into this mode and just really just bask in the genius of how ridiculous all of this stuff is when it's working. I mean, something like the piano, every time you push one of the keys, it pops up a sensor behind that the IR sensor on the Joy-Con sees, so it knows which key to play. Even that for me is insane. I get that it might not be to you, or it might not be to, like, you know, some people might just be like, we've got full 4K rendered worlds that we can explore in God of War, and we don't care about your cardboard piano. That's fine. But to me, that was incredibly cool. As well as cool as when I put the Joy-Cons on the bugs, and they just started moving around. Like, the vibrations in the motors mean that the legs move, and the little bugs go around. Me and Rich actually had a showdown Robot Wars style, one bug versus the other, which Nintendo have accounted for. They put a little bell in the game, so you can ring a bell, fight each other. If one of you falls over, the game will detect this and go ding 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 like you won. I might sound like a child, but oh my god, man, it's fun. It's like the purest fun. Now, the other Labo is the robot kit, which is centered entirely on transforming you, or a child, lol, into a full-sized robot with limb tracking and head movement. Now, to be honest, all of this is best enjoyed with other people, so occasionally we're going to cut to other people trying the Labo for the first time. I know Jules is he wants to have a go with the fishing thing. Rich is dying to have a go on the piano. Josh is probably going to have a bit of a play around with the bugs. We'll see whoever wants to have a go, and we'll cut these people in so you can see what it's like when people get their first experience of Labo, because yes, it looks like a lot of cardboard, but there's a lot more going on under the hood. So look, needless to say, it's a science and craft fan's dream. And though the software side of things is a little bit too tech demo-y for its own good, the collective package and showcase of potential is second to none. Not to mention the technology merging real-world cardboard models with digital software, whether it's motion controls or just pressing cardboard buttons to see things happening with no lag, is brilliant. Honestly, the first time you go into the recording suite and you just hit these little buttons and it just does stuff, it actually lets you record a passage of music or play it back or whatever. The first time you make that bridge between something that you've built with your own 2 hands, something as basic as cardboard, the juxtaposition of that with this, you know, glamorous Nintendo polished piece of software with little characters inside a house or a full recording studio, that is, in a nutshell, the Labo's real hook, and that's the thing that they deliver on in the best possible way. It feels great to control software with cardboard, and I know that's insane, but it does. Each build will probably take you anywhere from around 10 minutes to 2 or 3 hours. The piano, house, and motorbike are the most technically demanding, requiring a few reflector stickers to be placed in specific places so the Joy-Con's IR sensor can pick everything up. One of the coolest things is how Nintendo actually acknowledge everything being made of cardboard. You can repair or reinforce various struts using leftover pieces from the nets provided, and there are step-by-step video tutorials on how to do this too. Best of all, you might be wondering just where to start, but there is a progression to the items once you get going. Yes, there's a progression, there's a campaign to this thing, there's a designed way to get through all of this stuff. It's not just a smorgasbord of things, although you can just leap in wherever you want. I kind of went with the bug, and then I kind of went from there. So for me, I went from the RC bug, because I was like, well, it'll take like 10 minutes. And then I wanted to do something bigger, but I didn't want to jump straight to the piano, so I did the fishing rod. And when I was doing that, you know, you finish it, and you start catching fish, and the game's like, hey, why don't you make your own fish? And it's like, what? And so they tell you, hey, punch out this piece of card and cut a shape into it. You want to cut the shape into the bottom of the card. Not this piece, but the bottom of a piece of card. And you want to scan that into the piano because they're going to double the shape to make the fish. So if you make like a triangle, you'll get a triangular fish. And so you're like, what? But the only way you can do this is by having the piano to make the scanner. Obviously, everything's through the IR sensor. But they want you to then go and build the piano to enable the fishing rod to have more stuff to do. Now, that's a great little link. And when you then get to the piano, you start building it, and you're putting it together, and you're having an experiment with the studio software. And the game's like, hey, why don't we make a drum beat? And you're like, what? And you use this, a piece of card with the holes to make the drum beat. The bottom is the bass drum, the next one up is the snare, and the top two are the cymbals. So wherever you leave these little pieces, that creates the drum beat. So if you want like dum dum ksh or whatever, you would have like dum dum ksh at the top. Put that in, scan it through. The game then ports across the drum beat as it is, and you just start playing over the top of it. It's insane, and it's so cool. But my point was, in the middle of doing that, once you start punching out these little holes and stuff, the game comes up and it says, hey, you might be thinking that you're making a lot of waste with all these little tiny discs that you've got everywhere. And the game's like, hey, we thought of that too. And they give you a little box to put them in. But the box itself is on the net for the motorbike, so already your eyes are drawn to something else, and it's like, okay, I'll go do that next. They've found a way to have all of this in a way that you can just pick up and do whatever you want, or you just sort of leap in, and it has all these other ways of connecting everything together. Gradually, you build up this understanding of how the different sensors work and how the nets combine to make these different shapes. It starts seeding all these different ways that you can think of playing with the Labo itself, which all factors in to the secret lab. Now, the last thing that really blew me away was the coding suite, called the Secret Lab. It's a node-based programming interface, which is basically if X, then do Y, and it opens up everything to let you map a variety of inputs, middle steps, and outputs to create whatever comes to mind. Making the Joy-Con into a lightsaber that hums when shook? Done. Scattering some reflector sensors around a room and having the switch applaud and cheer when they're scanned with the IR sensor? Why not? It's this final step that you can get to earlier, but you're benefited by knowing how everything works, that takes everything you know and sends you out off into the world to think of whatever you can. The only downside with all of this is the software. Some of the apps that come with the games are threadbare, to say the least. Obviously, the hook is in building this stuff. It's kind of like when you build a Lego model as an adult and you put it all together. You're not then going to sit and fly around with your X-Wing. I mean, you might. I just made my Poe Dameron X-Wing and put him on a shelf, and I was like, you're done. But with this thing, they want to give you a little bit more to do. Each thing comes with something to do. Obviously, the RC cars, you're going to have to bash them off against each other in the real world, but there's a fishing mini game, there's a piano software, there's a motorbike track that you can have a go on, and all that kind of thing. But in terms of, there's no depth, there's no real progression. Like, the house has a little creature living inside of it that you can get food for and feed it, and then you unlock different animations that it can do. It's not really anything. The fishing rod, you can hook different sized fish, and you can build up an aquarium, and that's the thing you do with that. The piano has, all these different ways of recording music, but there's no way to export it. There's no like direct way to send a file to an email or anything like that. You're gonna have to, if you're gonna get serious with this stuff, you're gonna have to find some sort of rig that takes the headphone jack output and lets you record from there if you want to make a sample or something using this. It's those things that let the software side of things down a little bit, and I get that that's, it's going to be up to you whether you're like, well, obviously, I wasn't buying this to, replace whatever fishing games are on the market, or to replace something like, some actual music software. But it is worth knowing that what you're building towards, it's the journey, it's not the destination. Like, you get some fun out of having a go with these minigames, but that's not why you should be putting these things together. The joy is entirely in the models for the most part. All around, everything has that Nintendo polish through and through. Nintendo Labo creates a gorgeously serene, creative loop of discovery, experimentation, and reward. What Nintendo have managed to do with just some cardboard far exceeds that basic description. And though the software side of things isn't anywhere near as fun as construction, the overall package is enjoyable in every possible respect. I had an absolute blast. I mean, I have no qualms with sacrificing the fact that I'm closer to 30 than I am to 6 and just going with this stuff. It's very good, innocent fun, which has always been at the heart of the best Nintendo games. I'm giving this thing a 4.5 star. I think you can really knock something off for the lack of longevity in the software, which to many people, and especially their kids, isn't even going to be anything. So that's the only thing that stops this thing being perfect. The models are great fun to build. All the cuts, everything's done with laser precision. There wasn't one thing that I built that fell apart or creased in the wrong place or anything like that. Very sturdy, and anything that goes wrong in terms of repairing, they have, step-by-step stuff that'll get you back going again anyway. I really think this is incredible, and it's, again, pretty crazy, just insane that they've put this much stuff together with a heap of cardboard to go up against the likes of the PSVR and all the 4K stuff that the rest of the stuff we've got in the industry. Nintendo are being Nintendo as hell, and it's great.
Get him! Get him now! I won!
Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe below, and if you're looking for more content like this, then try a few things that are floating about around my ears. It might be fun. I can't promise it though, but it might be.